Hi everyone, my name is Dan Paulson. In this video I want to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that you might have in life as you are on your own path of self-discovery. And the reason I'm going to do this is because from my perspective there was a lot of things I had to learn along the way that nobody taught me. And there was a lot of confusions, a lot of times I didn't understand myself, thought something was wrong. And it took a long time to figure out really what was going on. And it would have been helpful to me to know more of this back then. And so I want to pass that along. So I want to start with, I was a really sensitive kid, really highly sensitive kid. I came from an abusive home and everything, but I couldn't disconnect. I couldn't be a tough kid. I would go sit in the woods at recess and cry. That was my life. And I didn't understand that. And I didn't understand why I couldn't get over things. And again, there was a lot of tragedy there with it at the time that it was happening, but there's a combination of things there. The point is that we have different personality types, and we're born with different brain architecture that creates different personality types. And we can see this as we look in the world. There's very outgoing people, very introverted people. There's groups of people that like to be together. There's people that like to be separate from each other. These are all normal things, and we fit into some category of that. We're not part of the larger group. We're part of a smaller, isolated group that we don't talk together too much and we don't know each other, so we kind of lose touch with this. But it's okay. The reason we're sensitive is because we just can sense the environment better. It would have been, I don't want to go into the whole evolutionary thing, but I can see a reason for us to be sensitive like that in a big group or somewhere where you just have a bigger sense of the surrounding environment and you can encompass more things. You can take other people's consideration. You're looking out for other people somehow in your DNA. Here we are today, and life doesn't work like that anymore. We're living in some kind of a different structure, still experiencing this feeling and not quite fitting. And it's important to understand that we are very sensitive, and we have to be careful about talking about that because people will say, oh, you think you're special, all those sort of things. And there's just different qualities. I don't think anybody is special. I think we're different. We exist for different reasons. At any rate, that having been said, here recently, somebody that I have been talking to on the channel a couple of times over the years, it's kind of been an on and off thing, hurt my feelings, but that's because I let that person in. If somebody, for example, I'm at a point now where if somebody makes a comment on one of my videos, which I've had, which are there, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. That doesn't bother me a bit. I know where I am and I see instantly where they are. I'm good. What I have a problem with was, like, in this particular case, the person spent a long time communicating with me, took up a lot of time. We had a good conversation. I like his ideas. A lot of them. There's a point where we don't continue to match, and that's okay. And I let him know, I don't do that. I stick with the process that I'm doing here, and I'm open to discussing this process, but I'm not open to discussing religions. Those are a different layer. I'm not there. Anyway, what's weird is that what he was initially upset about was he was telling me that, as I'm watching all these videos, the only thing you're doing is making this about yourself. You're not talking about how you're healing or anything. And I was kind of confused about that to begin with. Yeah, it's spiritual teaching. It is about the self. It is about heal yourself. It's redundant. And I'm talking about healing myself. But he got mad and he didn't like what I was doing. And I just said, see ya. Okay, well, that was the end of it. But I put up more recent Thomas stuff, and he reappeared. And, you give the benefit of the doubt. I've done things in my past that I'm not proud of, but I'm not that person anymore. I've gone back to people and said, you know what, I've seen the light. I apologize. You want to give people that benefit of the doubt. You want to be open. That's kind of our DNA purpose, to help people. So you let people in when they say, hey, here I am again. I like your ideas. Would like to discuss some. And it goes on that way. And then the next thing you know, all of a sudden, he's throwing out, I don't know why you're moving on from Thomas material. He's trying to restrict what I'm doing, which is very weird. And I tell him, no, I'm not doing that. I am doing something different. I am looking at all of them and finding the turn inward path. And he would let me know, I don't see how you're interacting with this. You're not doing anything. He's suggesting other material. And there's a point where I'm feeling a little bit, okay, I'm getting frustrated here. I've told you very politely before what I'm doing, and I'm starting to lose my patience. And even though you're doing the same thing and being nice and polite and throwing things out there, at the same time, he's sliding in little things like, why don't you let people that, have the qualifications that have already established this do that? And just what I hear is somebody saying, you need to limit yourself. And he doesn't get it. That's suddenly I'm going to knock that person verbally. Get out of my way. Here's something you do about seeking. Here's how I have approached seeking. You're open to everything. Let me explain that. It doesn't mean you believe everything. It means you're open to what people have to say. If a Muslim tells me that they are taught by Allah that if they reciprocate to somebody, that it's a done deal. But that if I find a way to forgive that person, then Allah will grace me better. I can listen to that story open-mindedly. It doesn't mean that I believe in Allah. I listen to that person tell me that story and they say it does that. If I forgive that person, then Allah does grace me. If I listen to a Christian tell me that the measure you mete unto others will be likewise meted unto you, or that if you forgive others, you will live in the graces of God, I want to hear those things. It's not because I believe in God or because I believe in Allah or because I believe in those other things. It's because I believe these people are having an experience. Take out the reason why, and you see that they're doing the same thing. And when you limit yourself, you don't catch that. You don't find out that they're all the same. You limit yourself. Anyway, we have boundary issues because we have very tight boundaries and we expect other people to have boundaries like that. And they don't. We let people in, and depending on how they act, well, in this case, I'm very solid with my path. So it was really just a case of, arg, you got me again. It's like narcissistic behavior. Let me win you over, become your friend, then suggest what you should do. And when you say, no, I'm not doing that, then I say, oh, I apologize. You're a Sunday school teacher. I'm out of here. Yeah, that's a narcissist. That's not a spiritual seeker. And the guy has some good ideas, but when you start pulling that, yeah, watch out for people like that. Those are the ones that will get you more because you let them in. And so for me, then, a part of my course is how do I manage that without being upset about it or things like that. And I guess you just get used to the idea that people are that way. And of course, if he comes back and says, hey, do you want to talk? I'm going to say, yeah, sure, go for it. But I know exactly when he says, here, put up these limits. That's, you can spot those. You feel them. You don't have to see them. You just go, what, really? Anyway, so we're kind of that way. We're gonna be sensitive to things and our boundaries. Yeah, I remember working with a guy for a long time one time that we spent a lot of hours together in the same vehicle traveling and doing different assignments for several years. And there was a time we were having a discussion, and he asked me, he said, how come I never have to tell you that, you need to curtail some behavior or something like that. But I never do that. I accept you on your terms, but you don't accept me on mine. Why is that? And I went, oh, well, that's a good question. How come I can't accept you, but you can accept me? And I had to think about it, and I realized it's about boundaries. My boundaries are this wide. I don't violate that person's boundaries. Theirs are this big. They violate mine all the time. As you're driving down the road or going through towns and they're ogling the high school girls trying to, make money for the high school, whatever sort of activities, and and what comes out of their mouth. And I got 4 daughters and a granddaughter. I don't like hearing that stuff. Is it illegal? No. Does it violate my boundaries? Yep. Does it violate theirs? Nope. That's what happens. We have different standards that are tighter than what is required. And we're going to get our feelings hurt when we get close to people. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. I don't know how to manage it all the time, but it's there. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to understand that we're sensitive, that we feel things, and that we can't share that with people that don't have that same experience. To them, it's very foreign. Like somebody saying, here, limit your material. That is so foreign to me, I can't wrap my head around it. Yet what I'm doing is so foreign to them, they can't wrap their head around that. That's how we function. Except we are open and they are not. And they say, why are you not taking what I have if you say you're open? Yeah, that's another one of those. You go, well, because I'm open to what is real. Show me something. Demonstrate something. I'm not into supernatural. That's from the get-go here. I'm looking for answers, and you don't find these answers as long as you keep putting something above yourself that you can't touch. Ooh, that's outside of, that's a spiritual, ghostly, godly, Jesus Christ, something sort of where you put it out of your reach. You can't hold anything in a light like that. This is ultimately, at the end of the day, what this is. Strip off all of the carriers, all of the shells, all of the spiritual and religious, whatever doctrines that are out there. This is Jung's shadow work. We work on our shadow. We heal ourselves. That has been taught everywhere. The religious shell is a tough shell. The Christian shell right now is a broken carrier of love, peace, and truth. It's still in there, but the shell is really bad. Yeah, you can see it. Depends on the person, huh? What is a Christian? Who knows? They might love you, they might hate you. You don't know. That's like saying I'm a human. What does that mean? Anyway, well, I just wanted to say that yeah, there is some struggles with this sometimes if you get to this level. There are people who aren't going to be here. There are people who are going to want to go to their yoga classes, their groups, their meditation centers, and they should. And there's people that are in environments, cities, things like that are so busy that they need those because it's their only way to escape the madness. Do what you have to do. I'm very fortunate right now. I'm in a place where I have my freedom to have a lot of free time. Life is sometimes can be difficult for you on this path. The last work environment that I was in a government office, and boy, it can be, I don't even know how to say it. At some point when you're not on the road, you're in a small cubicle farm and you're listening to people watching videos and laughing about, African Americans being killed, people being blown to shreds by machine gun fire over in other countries, and all the stories. Oh, I'm not prejudiced, but, and all the Muslims should die. My wife comes from a Muslim home. Things were always very offensive, and they wondered what the hell my problem was. They were not picking on me, and it did hurt me. It was very toxic to me, and I don't know how to explain it. You just get caught up, and there's a little bit of difference sometimes. We're not those. No, we're not. Anyway, it was good to be away from that environment. But as you move along, you might be in environments like that, and how do you deal with it? Put headphones, try to disappear from it if you can. Understand that if you weren't here, you would be hunting and foraging. This is your hunting and foraging. It's a tough day. You got to pay the bills, got to live life, do whatever it is you have to do. Try to find some way to mentally treat it as something that, not all environments are that difficult. So if you have a toxic environment, good to get out of it. I got sent away from the one that I was in because it just didn't work out, and I am eternally grateful. Whew. And I'm sure they are too. It saved me. Anyway, well, that's all I wanted to say on this video. I don't know what else to cover. I just wanted to kind of illustrate, that there are troubles as you move along. We're going to experience these things. We'll see them. The path is not always a fun, easy path, but it's measured in progress. And if you're making progress and the path seems viable, you're going to take it. And if it doesn't, you won't. And if you're on the path and you find people that say, ooh, you're doing too much, just do this over here, get away from them. Unless you need them to be your leader. If you're searching on your own, people like that, they'll actually, without knowing it, when they appear, it'll in my mind, it feels like I just suddenly ran into a brick wall because somebody does, you sense that right off the bat, and that's not okay. That's outside of our value system. It's a quick violation right there. You see it. Anyway, all right. Love one another. I'll see you in the next video.